Welcome to this edition of CityBiz. We are at the end of April, bringing some showers for those May flowers. I'm your host, Melinda Arndt, here with Michael Halley, our intrepid, I think you are intrepid actually, city councilman who just helped transplant some trees last weekend in honor of Earth Day, which we had. And we've got a number of topics to discuss, starting with some indoor and some outdoor topics. Hey, Michael, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I think we want to start out, kind of pick up something that we discussed last time, for those of you who caught our last City Biz, and it was the rec center mask policy. There's been an update on that. Michael will fill us in.
Yeah, so the Park and Rec Board met in early April and then changed the policy as of, I think, the first week of April from masks being required at all times in the Cambridge Sportsplex to now it is a mask is required while entering and exiting. So while you're in the lobby area, once you get to your workout area, if you want to, you can remove the mask. They figure that enough people have been vaccinated and that there is space. I have noticed it's less crowded as the weather warms because now we've got outdoor soccer and people are outside doing various events. And I know the CDC just updated that if you are vaccinated and you're outdoors with people who are in your family or group or are also vaccinated, you don't need a mask. So if you're out to eat and such and you're in your group, the mask isn't as required. So that's a new policy. And just briefly, some people felt like it was a step back because CDC guidelines for indoor gyms currently is to have everyone wear a mask the whole time. So those kind of guidelines are one thing, and then making them reality through enforcement is really a different story. And the only way to actually enforce something like that would be to get the police involved, because there are people who are looking at defying the mask mandate as a sort of civil disobedience. And when asked to put on a mask previously, when it was required by city staff at the rec center, some of their responses were call the police. So they're basically saying, I don't accept you as an authority and I will not comply to your policy. So just like if somebody were to enter a business without shoes on or a shirt and an employee approached them and said, excuse me, please follow our guidelines, and they refused, the next step would then be call law enforcement. Well, that's not the direction the city Park and Rec department wants to go in calling the police, because it would probably happen all the time. They'd probably be there several times a day. And then you'd basically be escorting people out of the facility. So again, we have these guidelines from the public health professionals. And then we on the city level, county level, state level, but especially the local level, have to figure out what's enforceable and how far do we want to push it. So this policy, you could say, is a kind of a compromise. Wear the mask when you're in the area that's most likely to be around other people. And then when you get to your space, you can take it off. But also, like we said, the weather is warming, so there are more opportunities now for outdoor exercise. So fewer people are actually in the gym than, say, over the winter.
So, and this kind of segues into our next topic, which is the Fairfield Media Center YouTube update, since a discussion about masks kind of led to a suspension for a week of the Fairfield Media Center's YouTube abilities. So what do we have going on there?
Well, the FMC board hasn't made an official policy change, but in the interim, just to avoid a second strike from YouTube, the city council meetings are not live streamed. And so, and anyone where there's content, where there's the public speaking their opinion about COVID, about masks, those are not posted on YouTube at this point, unless there were a health professional also in attendance at the meeting speaking from their level of expertise. So YouTube wants balance in their content. Again, YouTube is a for-profit business that allows the city through the Fairfield Media Center to host our videos for free. So we're using their servers, and there's the FMC channel, which has a lot of content, and then there's an archive channel that has a lot more. And all those videos and all the public access anywhere in the world where you can get on the internet, that's the service that YouTube is providing. And in exchange, they have terms of service, and we have to respect those. So this really isn't so much a free speech issue as it is we are using this business's platform at no cost, and they have certain guidelines that are most likely in place to protect them from liability. We are in a global pandemic, and if they allow content where people are stating things that they go directly against the public health guidelines, and people absorb that content and make decisions based on that, and perhaps catch COVID and maybe die from it or just have a bad experience, could YouTube be liable? So I'm sure their legal team is who came up with this idea that we can't put ourselves at risk. We're not going to allow this kind of content where it's one-sided speaking that masks are ineffective, COVID is a hoax, or anything like that. They don't want that kind of content on their channel, on their business page. So anytime in the future that COVID would be coming up in a council meeting, it probably will not get posted over on YouTube. I don't know if we're going to have any more meetings where it's discussed, but if we were, then that video content would be available directly from the Fairfield Media Center page, because then that's their private page. They can post whatever. But we just have to continue to be cautious, because we want to continue to use YouTube. It is very convenient, and it's convenient for everyone who wants to go and find the videos and watch them after they've been posted. And it has been wonderful to live stream them, but for now, we're not going to live stream until we figure something out, just to make sure we don't get any more strikes and any more suspensions, because the next suspension will be even longer. And we just want to avoid that.
Right. And then there is a good workaround. People can go to the Fairfield Media Center page for most recent city council meetings or any other meeting that's being covered by the Fairfield Media Center.
Yep.
So at least that's good. We've got a free speech balance that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you mentioned, all the other content, especially archived footage that's there, archived content on the YouTube channel, that way that still stays available. So Thanks for bringing us up to date with that. And we hope you share this CityBiz video with whoever you like on the platforms that you use. And that's how you can get to it, is Fairfield Media Center. And for now. So I think we're next jumping kind of outside to catch up with the Fairfield Fire Station news, like the progress on plotting out and creating a new home for the fire station.
Yep. So basically the task force of citizens and some city staff was created. They haven't met yet, but in our earlier meeting in April, the council hired a local asbestos sampling company that's going to test the existing fire station building and the two buildings on the former DOT site, the property we purchased. And we also are hiring Klinger and Associates to do a structural analysis of all three. So really what we did, we bought this property a little bit before we knew what we're going to do. And we didn't know if those properties could be converted to meet the needs. So we're kind of backtracking and starting with a little bit more reviewing and professional assessment of so essentially three properties. There's the existing fire department, and there are two buildings on the former DOT site. So once those results come in, the asbestos and the structural, then the task force will meet and be brought up to speed and go get a tour of all three buildings, and hopefully sometime this summer make a determination based on the scope of work of what we need, and based on the buildings and the land available, which site makes the most sense. So we can kind of hone in on starting to develop the actual project. So there's a little bit more study that needs to be completed before we have an answer, but it's in progress. And so the task force, I think they're going to meet in June, maybe in May, I can't remember, but they're going to start doing their due diligence and then advise the council accordingly.
Great. Well, we'll keep bringing updates. Thank you for that update, and we'll keep everyone apprised as the information becomes available as they finish that study. And I'm sure all around us, we didn't have this on our agenda, but you'll notice street projects are continuing or starting up now that the weather is warming up. And we'll talk maybe more about that next month when we'll be outside and talking more about outside projects. But let's segue to something related to building and construction, and that is building permit and inspections.
Yeah, so City of Fairfield is one of a handful of cities in Iowa that does not have city code or city building codes. So we have zoning codes, and then we have kind of some basic requirements for buildings that were put in place, I think, in the 90s. But an actual building code means without it, we can't have building permits. So we have what we call zoning permits in place of building permits. And we can't do inspections except for rental inspection only. And so in a sense, we are, well, for one, we have a higher insurance rating. We could, or lower, whatever you want to call it, not as optimal because we don't have building code, building permit, building inspection. So were the city to adopt that, then perhaps insurance premiums for the properties in town would get a little better. And so the city council tried, we looked at this in 2010 or 11, and it was a 3-3 vote that didn't pass adopting the International Building Code at that time. So now we're just bringing up the conversation again. Time has passed. And since then, the state has adopted a state electrical code that is mandated everywhere. So now people in Fairfield have to follow that. And maybe at some point they'll follow suit with plumbing and structural and all that kind of stuff. But for now, they've left it up to the local jurisdiction. So we're just having a conversation with this company that offers the service to towns like ours that wouldn't want to hire or have somebody full-time handling building permits and building inspections. So they do it where essentially they don't charge the city. They just, whatever that fee is for the inspection or that fee is for the permit, it just goes to this company. And then they handle it on behalf of the city based on code that we would adopt. So it would involve us adopting code. And then they wouldn't be an enforcement arm. We'd still have our own code enforcement officer like we do, but they would just handle the permits and the inspections and that kind of thing. So it's in discussion phase at this point. We had a work session, which is just, work session means you can't vote on anything, you're just talking. A couple council members weren't able to attend, so there's another one tonight, April 28th at City Hall at 6:30, and it's kind of informational at this point. And so there are some people in the manufacturing sector who are interested in hearing more at this point. So more on it as it unfolds, but it's just something that we're just starting a conversation about right now.
Yep, makes sense. And I guess we'll keep bringing updates on that as these meetings progress, and then people will have a chance, I'm sure. I'm sure those who are interested will let their council members know of their interest. Yeah. Yep. And a building project which has, I think, just achieved completion is an outdoor project. We were hoping to actually do a sneak preview and film our CityBiz there today, but because of the rain, we are going to wait, as long as you will, till the end of May until Petra Park opens. Yes, we're talking about Petra Park. So we'll have a chance, Michael and I can practice our pliés so we can maybe open and close with a few ballet moves at the bar. I just think that's so cool. Oh, yeah. If you've been driving by or walking by or riding on your bike by, you've, I'm sure, been following the progress of Petra Park or Petra Place? Petra Park?
Petra Park. Petra Park, yeah, it's done. It's just there's some legal things that need to be needs to be handed over to the city. So we'll probably handle that at the second council meeting in May. And I think the grand opening looks like it'll be Memorial Day or Memorial Day weekend, so end of May. So by the time we film CityBiz at the end of May, and then it's ready for sharing, around that time, people will be able to go. So it'll be good timing. But yeah, looks really lovely over there, and it's going to be a great addition to our downtown. So thank you, Alex.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Thank you so much for this wonderful tribute to Petra and gift to the city. And by then, probably even more flowers will have come up of all the perennials that have been planted there. So, so that'll be pretty cool.
Will be. So I just want to say I got my second vaccine shot today. So give me 2 weeks, I'll be fully vaccinated, and try to do my part to, get this crazy pandemic under control.
Yeah, cool beans. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, so all the more reason that we should have waited anyway for 2 more weeks. Although being outside, outside is pretty.
We'll be all right.
Much safer.
Yep.
Well, thanks for this update. We are coming to you at the end of April here with the Fairfield CityBiz. Anything else you wanted to add, Michael?
That's it for now.
All right. Well, we'll see you on the horizon for at the end of May. Get out there and enjoy.
Yep. See you out there.
Cheers.